Welcome back to the space where souls awaken. Let this voice wash over you like a soft wave across the midnight sea where time seems to pause. And every sound around you slowly fades into stillness. There are days when life moves quietly, predictably, until one day something happens. A glance, a single word, a moment that makes your heart stop for just a second and you know your world is about to change. None of us ever gets a warning when the universe decides to turn a new page. But there's always a sign. Subtle, distant, like a whisper from far away saying, "It's time." Tonight, I want you to sit still, just listen, and let the energy of this story carry you across to another realm, a journey not of logic, but of feeling. Because sometimes, it's only when the ground beneath us trembles that the soul finally wakes up, and that is where we begin. Beneath the November sky, there's a moment, like the pause between two heartbeats of the universe itself. November 17th, 2025 is approaching, carrying a rare kind of energy, not loud like a storm, but deep, still, like thunder echoing from within the soul. People often think the shock comes from the outside, but sometimes, Gemini, it begins inside of us right where the first tremor of truth is born. It might be a phone call you didn't expect, a glance that stops your heart for a second, a truth you can no longer avoid. It comes softly, like a breeze, yet with the strength of a storm. And somehow, without words or reason, you'll know there's no turning back. The universe isn't punishing you, it's waking you up from an old dream. The habits, the roles, the relationships you've tried so hard to hold on to, they begin to crack beneath the weight of what's already over, not because you failed, but because you've outgrown them. And when what's familiar starts to fall apart, fear may rise within you. We all fear losing control, but sometimes it's only when everything slips out of your hands that freedom begins to take shape. Let the wind pass through you without resistance. Let the water flow without trying to hold it back. What's breaking down isn't here to drown you. It's here to wash away what you no longer need. Imagine yourself standing at the edge of your own life between two worlds, one old and covered in dust, one new and undefined. That meeting point, that breathless pause between what was and what's to come is sacred. It's the moment your soul begins to remember who you really are. What feels like an ending is only the first breath of a brand new chapter. That night, you might not sleep. Your mind will fill with questions. What did I do wrong? Why now? Is it too late? But if you listen closely, beneath the noise of your worries, you'll hear something gentle calling your name. It whispers, "This is not the end. This is the beginning." And from that quiet vibration, the first light of a new dawn begins to rise. Not blinding, but warm just enough for you to see that what's falling apart today is only the shell of something new being born inside you. In that fragile stillness, you may start to feel something strange, that all this chaos is not destruction at all, but a careful rearranging, a reordering of the world in ways you never dared to imagine. A door is opening, not out there, but within your heart. And when your breathing slows, when you stop trying to understand and simply allow yourself to be led, you'll realize the real journey, but has only just begun. From here, Gemini steps into a deeper layer of the story where the old can no longer bear the light and the soul begins to learn how to let go of every chain, to be reborn. There are mornings when Gemini wakes up and everything feels the same old walls, the same conversations that loop and repeat, the same familiar faces, but with eyes that no longer meet yours the way they used to. You laugh, you work, you play your part pretending you're fine, but deep inside there's a tiny crack, quietly spreading. And on November 17th, that crack won't hold its shape any longer. It will shatter like a piece of glass that's carried too much time, too much pressure. You once believed that silence could keep the peace. You told yourself, it'll be okay. But the universe has its own way of breaking the illusion. When the soul reaches the edge of its truth, no mask can stay on. It might begin with a conversation that takes an unexpected turn, a sentence that pierces straight to your core, or maybe just the moment you realize you can't keep pretending anymore. Sometimes collapse doesn't roar, it whispers. It's that quiet second when you stare at something that once meant everything and feel nothing. A relationship that used to anchor you now feels heavy. A job that once made you proud now echoes hollow. A version of yourself you used to admire suddenly feels foreign. And that's when you understand being fine is no longer an option. The universe doesn't want you half alive, trading your heartbeat for comfort. It wants you to break open, to fall apart so you can be reborn in truth. Because only when you face what no longer lives can you truly begin to live. November 17th won't be gentle, but it will be real. What crumbles isn't punishment, it's liberation. Everything false will fall away, revealing what's still whole beneath it, the unfiltered you, the brave you, the you who no longer fears change or loss. Picture it. Amid the ashes, a tiny spark begins to pulse. That light, that's your soul, stubborn, pure, and radiant. When all that's decayed can no longer bear its glow, you'll feel lighter, truer, closer to who you really are. And then, in the middle of all that unraveling, something unexpected happens. Space appears, as if the walls around your heart have vanished. In that space, the wind begins to move. Not the cold wind of loss, but the first breath of freedom. From that still place, a new voice starts to rise soft, but strong enough to stir every cell in you. It doesn't ask for reasons. It doesn't promise safety. It simply whispers, let go. Let go so the light can enter. And right there, in that sacred moment of release, the next story begins to unfold, drawing you deeper, gently, into the heart of your awakening. There's something deeply human about Gemini's nature, this need to know, to understand, to hold the map of what comes next. Your mind is a machine of motion, always analyzing, sorting, trying to bring order to the chaos. But then comes a moment, that rare kind of silence when every map you've drawn becomes useless. And that's when the universe smiles, places a hand on your shoulder, and whispers, now, let go. Letting go isn't failure. It's the quiet wisdom of knowing you've tried enough. It's pausing in the middle of the road to hear your own heartbeat instead of the noise of the world. Surrender here doesn't mean bowing. To defeat it means opening to the unknown. Sometimes the light doesn't enter your life with a loud knock. It slips in through the empty spaces you leave behind when you stop forcing things to fit. When you release control, something beautiful happens. Energy begins to flow again, soft as morning wind. What was stuck begins to loosen. You start seeing signs everywhere. A random sentence, a song, a dream. The universe speaks to you once more, in the language of coincidence. Gemini of the skies. You've always believed your strength was in control, but your true power begins when you trust. Trust that even when you're not steering, the boat still knows the way. Trust that even in the dark, an unseen hand is guiding you home. To begin a new chapter, sometimes you must let the last one close, without needing to understand why. Life is a river. It never clings to its own shape. It flows, it changes, it dissolves. And that's why it stays pure. When you surrender, you become that river, gentle yet unstoppable, silent yet always moving forward. And in that very surrender, what you've been searching for with your mind finally appears quietly, clearly, like the sun breaking through after a long night of rain. You don't have to explain it. You don't even have to understand. You just have to feel it, because it's only when you stop trying that your soul can finally speak. And one morning, you'll find yourself smiling for no reason at all. No rush, no resistance, just light, streaming softly through the cracks of your heart. and everything that once felt broken begins to make sense again. From that stillness, a new rhythm starts to rise, gentle, steady, alive, calling you forward, not with control, but with a quiet faith. In what's coming next, sometimes the most beautiful things appear right in the middle of the wreckage. When the storm hits, Gemini, you may find yourself standing in the eye of it, everything familiar collapsing, every anchor slipping away. You might cry, you might feel hollow, as if a part of your life has been swept away before you could even say goodbye. But then, in that very moment, amid the ashes and tears, something strange begins to happen. A quiet sense of relief. It comes slowly, like the last breeze of evening drifting through an open window. The air feels different. A space begins to open where old attachments once clung. And in that space, the light starts to find its way in. The universe never takes without giving, but before it can bring you something greater, it must first clear away the fragments of what's already gone. You start seeing the world through new eyes. Things that once frightened you now seem softer. A door closes, and you realize you're not trapped anymore. You're free. The collapse, seen through the eyes of the soul, is a miracle in disguise. Because when everything outside breaks, you finally see the strength that's been waiting inside. Maybe you'll realize you've lived too long inside a small room where everything was in its place. Yet so confined there was no space left for dreams. And now, even with the cracks in the walls, even as the roof caves in, you stand there, in the golden dust and sunlight, and you smile. Because for the first time in so long, you can breathe the air of freedom. The pain passes, leaving no wound, only light. And in that light, you no longer run from yourself. You begin to hear the real rhythm of your heart, the one that's been buried beneath noise, duty, and fear. Fear that if you stopped, everything would fall apart. But now that it finally has, you realize you're still here, and you're still breathing. Clarity returns like the morning after a heavy rain. Everything is damp, the scent of new earth rising, the sky washed clean. You understand that what you call loss is just another word for being given back. Given back your time, your peace, your faith in yourself. So let your heart rest in this new light. Let yourself smile, even if you don't yet know what lies ahead. Because in this fragile moment, you're stepping into another layer of the journey where wounds become doorways, and from the ruins, a different kind of music begins to play. That sound is soft, warm, distant, like a voice calling from a world that's just opening. No longer the thunder of destruction, but the breath of a gate newly unlocked, inviting you to walk deeper into the light that's always been your own. There are gates in this life that do not open by hand, they open through awakening. On November 17th, as powerful waves of energy move around you, everything will feel like the final breath of your past. For 7 long years, Gemini, you've been forged in silence through heartbreak, through the moments you swallowed your tears, through dreams that never quite reached the light. Every one of those moments was a brick, quietly building the foundation of who you are right now. 7 years mark a full circle, and you stand at its closing point. What once held meaning has completed its purpose. The people who walked beside you may now begin to drift away. The things you thought were destiny turn out to be only stops, lessons for your soul's growth. And now, as the gate of November 17th swings open, you'll hear a different sound. Not the noise of collapse, but the gentle call to come home. Home to your truest self. To the voice within that's been waiting so patiently to be heard. To the simple dreams you once dismissed as childish. This gate doesn't take you somewhere far, it brings you back to yourself. Clear, courageous, and free. From this moment on, you no longer live to please others. You stop performing for harmony's sake. You begin to speak the truth even if your voice trembles. You begin to love yourself not in promises, but in choices. You choose what lights you up, and you walk away from what dims your spirit. You dare to choose, to fail, to live, Because this time, it's real. Some won't understand. Some will look at you and see someone unfamiliar. But Gemini, that solitude is not emptiness, it's sacred space, the kind the soul needs to expand. Like a field freshly plowed, bare, raw but fertile, waiting for new seeds to take root. November 17th is not just a date on the calendar. It's a threshold, the place where you shed the old skin of fear and step into the garment of light. You'll feel the shift in the smallest ways. Your breath deepens, your steps grow lighter, your eyes shine clearer. Because when the soul rises, the body follows. Picture yourself walking across a bridge of light. Behind you, the echoes of all that's been. Ahead, a horizon still unwritten. Don't look back. Everything meant for you will find its way home again, reborn, purer, perfectly timed. This gate opens not only for you, but for the human part in each of us, the part longing to live truthfully, to love completely, to walk without fear. And when you step through, you don't just change your own life. You ignite a light for others still wandering in the dark. In that sacred moment, when you realize you no longer have to become anyone else, you'll hear it, a whisper carried by the wind. Welcome home. And then, gently, naturally, a warmth begins to rise from the deepest place in your heart, guiding you forward slowly, peacefully into a new land where kindred souls are waiting. And the fated meetings of your next chapter are already beginning to bloom. There are gates in this life that do not open by hand. They open through awakening. On November 17th, as powerful waves of energy move around you, everything will feel like the final breath of your past. For 7 long years, Gemini, you've been forged in silence through heartbreak, through the moments you swallowed your tears, through dreams that never quite reached the light. Every one of those moments was a brick, quietly building the foundation of who you are right now. 7 years mark a full circle, and you stand at its closing point. What once held meaning has completed its purpose. The people who walked beside you may now begin to drift away. The things you thought were destiny turn out to be only stops, lessons for your soul's growth. And now, as the gate of November 17th swings open, you'll hear a different sound. Not the noise of collapse, but the gentle call to come home, home to your truest self. To the voice within that's been waiting so patiently to be heard. To the simple dreams you once dismissed as childish. This gate doesn't take you somewhere far. It brings you back to yourself, clear, courageous, and free. From this moment on, you no longer live to please others. You stop performing for harmony's sake. You begin to speak the truth even if your voice trembles. You begin to love yourself not in promises, but in choices. You choose what lights you up, and you walk away from what dims your spirit. You dare to choose, to fail, to live because this time it's real. Some won't understand. Some will look at you and see someone unfamiliar. But, Gemini, that solitude is not emptiness, it's sacred space, the kind the soul needs to expand. Like a field freshly plowed, bare, raw, but fertile, waiting for new seeds to take root. November 17th is not just a date on the calendar. It's a threshold, the place where you shed the old skin of fear and step into the garment of light. You'll feel the shift in the smallest ways. Your breath deepens, your steps grow lighter, your eyes shine clearer. Because when the soul rises, the body follows. Picture yourself walking across a bridge of light. Behind you, the echoes of all that's been. Ahead, a horizon still unwritten. Don't look back. Everything meant for you will find its way home again, reborn, purer, perfectly timed. This gate opens not only for you, but for the human part in each of us, the part longing to live truthfully, to love completely, to walk without fear. And when you step through, you don't just change your own life. You ignite a light for others still wandering in the dark. In that sacred moment, when you realize you no longer have to become anyone else, you'll hear it, a whisper carried by the wind. Welcome home. And then, gently, naturally, A warmth begins to rise from the deepest place in your heart, guiding you forward slowly, peacefully into a new land, where kindred souls are waiting. And the fated meetings of your next chapter are already beginning to bloom. Every soul has a moment of turning a sacred pause where what once felt lost is, in truth, only being rearranged. Gemini, when chaos surrounds you, when everything seems to fall apart in your hands, stop for just a breath and breathe deeply. You're not falling, you're being lifted. You're not being abandoned, the path ahead is simply being cleared for you. The universe has never turned its back on you. It's only been gently untangling the invisible threads that bound you for years, so you can walk lighter, brighter, more true to yourself. Place your hand over your heart and listen. In that steady rhythm lives one powerful truth. You have never lost what was truly yours. What left was never meant to continue the journey ahead. Those who departed were teachers who had finished their lesson. And every wound, if you look closely enough, is a doorway, one that opens straight into compassion. When you whisper the affirmation of your soul, I am ready for transformation. I trust my journey. Feel the warmth rise beneath your palm, spreading through you like a soft wave of light. That warmth is your soul awakening after a long sleep of doubt. November 17th is not just another date on the calendar. It's the day the universe reaches out and resets your compass. The day illusions collapse so that truth can be born. The day what you thought was an ending reveals itself as a beginning, radiant, whole, and alive, where love, purpose, and meaning merge into one continuous flow. You'll start to notice the signs: a stranger's kind smile, an unexpected message that fills you with hope, a quiet peace that has no explanation. That's the universe whispering, good, you're on the right path. Keep your heart soft, don't resist, don't chase the pieces that no longer fit. You've outgrown them. You've become deeper, wiser, ready for a wider sky. Let life come to you, like waves kissing the shore, effortless, complete. And when night falls, before you close your eyes, smile a little. Be grateful you made it here. Be proud of the courage that carried you through the storm. Thank your heart for beating, for staying, for never giving up even when it trembled in the wind. You've done it, Gemini. You're stepping into a brighter field of life. Thank you for listening, for sharing your time and your energy in this journey with me. If this message touched you, leave a word of gratitude, not for me, but for the universe, as a quiet declaration that you are ready for your next chapter. May peace hold you through the night, strength greet you with the morning, and wholeness walk beside you in every step ahead. Until we meet again in the light of your next awakening, where your soul will continue its story in its own voice, free, clear, and full of love.